Okay, today we're going to be learning how to use descriptive statistics in SPSS, and we're going to be using a data file that's called the NHIS Adult PA 2014 short data file. And I described this data file to you here, but essentially it's a shortened version of a data set that's available to you through the internet. And as you scroll down, you'll see that these are the different things that we're going to do together. And then at the end of this Word document are the things that you'll need to do for your first assignment for the course. So back here up at the top, the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to go into our SPSS file. And so you're going to double click on the Citrix receiver. I've already opened mine to save us a little time, so I'm just going to open it again. And then I'm going to go into statistics by double clicking here. So the first thing that'll happen is you'll be asked if you want to open a file. And in this case, we do have a file. So we're going to say, okay. And we're going to go find wherever you've put it, the file that's required for this homework assignment. So in this case, it's the Adult PA data file. And what I want you to notice here is that the extension for data files in SPSS is .sav, so that tells us that this is a data file. So we hit open, and what it's going to do then is it's going to bring up for us this large data set. And what you see going across the top here are the different variable names. And then going down, of course, is our numbers indicating sort of which ID it is or which subject it is. And then this file is big, so we can scroll across and see that there's data going way out this way. And then there is also data going way down because we've got 5,000 data points. Okay. One of the other things I want you to notice is that when you're in this window with the data, there are actually two views that you can use. The data view, which is the one we're in, and then the variable view. The variable view tells you all the names. Again, it just repeats what went across the top on the other page. But it also gives you important information about what type of data this is. For the string data, that just means that it's characters or text. For numeric data, you can control the width. So this is a width of 1 and 0. That's because it's a number like 1, 2, 3, or 4, just showing which region of the country. But so for some of these other ones, as we go down, there will be some where they need more width, and usually you'll have 1 or 2 decimal places, so that's a little different here that they don't have that. The other thing I want you to notice here is that there's a label column, and this tells you a more expanded version of what the variable name is. So this is telling you that FMX stands for family number, FPX stands for person number. One challenge with SPSS that you'll notice later is that the label is what shows up when you go to shoot variables into where you need them with the menu-driven options, and so sometimes these can be really not the best if they're too long. The other thing I want you to notice here is 2 more columns. The values column, which is where, for instance, with region, they've got it set up so that a 1 means northeast, a 2 means midwest, a 3 means south, and a 4 means west. And these have to be coded numerically so that we can use them in analyses, but then you also want to be sure to record what each number stands for so that you don't come back, a year later and not remember which category or which number, was paired up with which region of the country. And then the last really important one is this missing column. Oftentimes you'll see things coded here because if somebody has missing data, you may enter that with a specific number, like a -1 is common or a 99. And so you would tell the computer here by clicking in the corner what the missing values were. And you can see I should have said that, like under values, if I click on sex, if I click on that cell, then it gives me this option to open it up and see what the choices are. Okay, so let's go back to the data view, and what I want to do now is I'm going to shrink this window just a little bit. I'm going to try to. Okay, so what I'd like to show you now is how to do the first challenge that we have for our in-class work. So it says we should change the variable names to names that are more logical for our purposes. So for instance, in this big data set, they call this age _ P, which has some special meaning for them, but it's just a little confusing for us. So all we have to do to change the variable name is to double-click on the variable. You notice that takes us over to the variable view. And then I can just highlight in this cell, double-click, and I can take out the P. I'm also asked to change marital, so I'm going to double-click there so I get inside, take out that. Oh, and I'm asked to change it so that it actually says marital. Okay, and then I'm also asked to change racer. Where is racer? Must be up. Here it is. Change racer into race, and to change the long and unclear variable label. Oh yeah, so when you look over here, Oh, I've already done that. I apologize. Oh, no. Okay, here we are. Sorry. For race, it says, I don't know what this is, but when you look at it, you'll see later again, when you look at it as you go to shoot variables over, this is confusing because it doesn't say anything about race until the end, and you won't see that. So let's go ahead and just double click there, and then we can change this so that it just says race. Okay, now when you come over to data view, you'll see that those changes have taken place. So now we've got age, we've got marital, and we've got just race. Oh, another thing I want to show you that's nice here is that if you remember, these codes for race and for sex and for region all have some meaning. So if we go to view and we click on the value labels, we can actually toggle back and forth between seeing what that text or what those numbers stand for and not seeing. Just seeing the numbers. So you can, put it however you like, but one thing that you want to remember is it may look like this, but this is not the word south. This is the number that equates to south over here in the variable view. You can see the number that equates to south over here. So it means it's a number 3. Okay. All right, so we've done this first one. We should go ahead and save our data. So now we're going to describe the sample. So we're asked to write a sentence explaining how many men and women are in the sample and what the racial makeup of the sample, and also give descriptive data for age and number of cigarettes smoked per day. Okay, so when we look at this, one important thing to recognize is that sex and race, actually this would be just plain race now, sex and race are categorical variables, so we can't get a mean. Sorry about that phone call. So, okay. So when you look over here, sex and race are both categorical types of data, male, female, and whatever your race might be. And so we're supposed to explain how many people we have in those categories. So to do that, we're going to go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and we're going to be reporting frequencies, how many people are in each of the categories. So this is what things will look like in this menu-driven form of SPSS, and what you'll see is all the names of the different variables. But as you can see, this is what I was telling you about. See, it tells you actually the label, and here's the little variable FMX. So it's really tricky if your label isn't descriptive and if it gets too long, because your variable name is actually what you probably would prefer to see here. So we're asked to do it for sex. Here's sex. We can shoot that in then by clicking on that arrow, and race, and we shoot that in. And now this is really important. What I want you to do is I want you to hit paste after you've come up with a command. And so when you hit paste, it's going to take you into a new window, which is your syntax window. And it's pasted the language that actually tells the program what to do. Okay? And so once you're here then, you can highlight this, and you can hit the green arrow, and that's going to actually run those commands. And that then is going to take us to another new window, which is our output window. So here's the output window, and this is really nice because it tells you what we've done so far. So it tells us that we got a file, and it tells us what the name of the file was that we got, and that we saved it after we made those changes, right, to the variable names and things of that nature. Then this is giving us the output for what we just asked the computer to do. So it tells us right here that we had 5,000 pieces of valid data for sex and 5,000 pieces of valid data for race. And it says there was also one piece of missing data. So when you come here then for sex, you can see that it says that there are 2,202 men and 2,798 women. And so that's what we would start to put in our answer here. So the sample consisted of 2,202 men and 2,788 women. And in terms of race, the sample consisted of 3,800, so now I'm looking down here at the race table. And I guess the other thing I want to tell you here to go ahead and get in the habit of is if you double click this table, it'll give you access to the table. And then you can right click in the cells that you're looking at so that you can change the cell properties, change the background to yellow so that I know where you were looking when you got this information. It's not as critical for this assignment, but it becomes more critical as we go on. So I'm right-clicking on the cell, I'm clicking on background, I'm asking it to make it yellow, and then I'm hitting OK. Okay. Same thing for race. Now I'm going to double-click on this table. That makes this table active. I can click here. I think I can select more than one at a time. Let me hold down Shift. Yeah, I can hold down more than one at a time by holding down Shift and left clicking down there at the bottom. And then I right click on all of that, go to Cell Properties, go to Background, and make it yellow or whatever color you like so that you can see it really well. Okay, so then I can finish that here in terms of race. The sample consists of 3860 whites, 670 blacks, 56 AIAN, American Indian, I'm not sure exactly what that stands for, 302 Asian, 11, let's see, and probably we'd just say 101 of multiple race. And then we would say 11 had missing data, something to that extent to make it clear that we saw this 11 as well. And this system data here, I think I might have ended up with one extra row at the bottom. If you could ignore that, that'd be great. Okay, so that's part of our answer. Now we also need to provide the descriptive data for age, which is a continuous variable, and for number of cigarettes smoked per day, which is also a continuous variable. So that's just a little bit different, and we can go straight to analyze from here. We're in the output window, but that's okay. So you can go straight to analyze from here. You're getting more descriptive information, but this time you're actually getting descriptive data like you've worked with by hand in class. So we're going to find age and shoot it over. And cigarettes per day, that's probably going to be hard to find because of my labeling challenge. I wonder if I can see more if I make this bigger. Yeah, that helps. Okay, so I'm looking for cigarettes per day. I'm in the strength activity. Here it is, number of cigarettes smoked a day. And I'm going to shoot that over. Now I'm going to hit paste again. Again, this is a habit I'd like you to get into. So hit paste, and then we'll be in the syntax window, which you can see if you go up to window. Here's our syntax window. And here we can see where it's asking for descriptives for age and cigarettes per day. We highlight what we want to run. We don't need to highlight everything because we've already done this part up here. But now we're asking for the mean, standard deviation, min, and max for age and cigarettes per day. We hit OK, and it's going to pop us into our output window, and here's our descriptive data. So again, if we double click on it, then we can highlight the information that we're going to share. We right click, we go to Cell Properties, we go to Background, and we go to Yellow. We say OK, and that shows us what we're looking at to answer this question. The average, let's see, how do I want to put this? Let's see. The sample had an average age of 49.38 years, and then we put standard deviation equals 18.35, and smoked an average of 12.92 cigarettes per day. And the standard deviation there was 11.86. Okay, so everybody see these things. So here's the columns with mean and standard deviation. It also tells us the minimum and maximum, so this is a group of adults from 18 to 85 years of age. And the number of cigarettes smoked was 1 to 99. I did ask here to be sure to include an N for each statement, so we kind of know how much missing data there is. We've got the data for the whole sample, so I don't think it's very relevant there. But probably here we should say, I'm just trying to teach you guys how you might write this to be really clear. There were 854 current smokers who smoked an average of 12. So that makes that much more clear. Okay, so now it says describe the sample with regards to sex and race simultaneously. So in other words, not just how many women were there, but of those almost 3,000 women, how many of them were of the different races. So to do this, you again go to Analyze, you go to Descriptive Statistics, and now you're doing something called crosstabs, where you're going to cross-tabulate the data. And so under crosstabs, it doesn't matter which one goes in the rows and which one goes in the columns. Maybe I'll put columns for sex because there are fewer, and I'll put race in the rows, but it really doesn't matter. Again, I'm going to hit paste. If I look in my syntax window, I'll see that I've got this crosstabs command here for race by sex. Highlight that and run it, and now it's down here at the bottom. And so in this case, in terms of answering this question, how you would really do it in a paper, I don't want you to write all this out in a text format. That wouldn't make any sense. So I would just say Table 1 provides information about sex and race of the sample. And then you can just paste. And for now, for this purpose, I mean, for your dissertation it'll be different, but for this purpose I think I can just right-click that, hit copy, and then come over here and hit paste, and there I've got the output that's relevant. Okay, if you want to pretty this up, that's great, but this'll suffice for the homework assignment. Okay, and then on number 4, we're going to do the descriptive information for age and cigarettes per day for men and women separately. Okay, so above we did it for the whole sample together. Now we have to